and thanks for joining us on the program Viewpoint. I'm Ifunaya Amafili. Have you wondered so many times why sometimes the discrepancy between our attitude towards people with a white-collar job and those that do menial jobs like keke napep drivers are different? Have you also thought about the fact that sometimes these people who do menial jobs earn more than those who do in some white-collar jobs? For example, a level 12 officer in a state civil service on an average might make 60,000 a month. And that, if you break it down to 30 days, means the person is earning 2,000 naira per day. However, we have some keke napep drivers, some ugu sellers, some okada drivers who make as much as 10,000 naira a day. In a month, they're making 30,000 naira. But we still look at them as poor people. And the youths today, unfortunately, are not interested in going into entrepreneurship. And with us in the studio today is Honorable Jude Okafor. Many thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Jude Okafor is the state chairman, Nigerian Bakers and Catering Association.
Yeah.
You're also an entrepreneur.
Of course.
And you're also the national, I think the state's, the national secretary of the same association.
Yeah.
How did this journey begin?
Well, it's my pleasure being invited to this program. The journey actually is an inheritance of something I learned from my father, my late father. So I think I learned it as a young man. So when he's gone and things became somehow tight after leaving school, I had to go into it through some small savings I made over some jobs I did earlier. I think I worked as a factory worker at Asaba Textile Mills for about 5 years. The money I was able to save, what I used to venture into it.
How much did you, let me interrupt you on that.
About 50,000 naira.
So you started the business with 50,000 naira.
Yes.
How much is that business worth now?
The business is worth in the normal it's worth about 7 million now.
So 50,000 naira business, which you started a couple of years ago, has grown over the years to become a 7 million naira business, and that's excluding investments, salaries, and other things. Because I'm sure you're employing labor.
Of course, I employ labor. I employ over 25 workers
that are working for you.
Yes.
So why do you think Nigerians have this mindset? You know, the first thing, I mean, when we started the program, I pointed out that sometimes everybody believes that the white-collar job is the rich man. But he's not making as much as an entrepreneur who could be, who is either a keke napep driver or a taxi driver. A Bitaliv woman, I met someone who said she has a story building because she was washing and selling Bitaliv, and I never knew that's Onubu. I never knew that was profitable. So how do you relate this? That people feel don't have money are the ones that are actually making money in the society?
Actually, necessity is the father of all or mother of all inventions.
Yes.
The situation you find yourself, like if we talk about our normal situation in the country, you see that the job is not there for government to provide for everybody. So right from outset, if you have it at your mindset that you need to become somebody, that you need to be, it has to be about you taking a decision that you want to become somebody. So you have to go into some manner of manual jobs. There are many of them. You can hawk bread, you can push wheelbarrow, you can work in a factory, you can do so many other things and raise some money. After raising the money, then you move. I have to take the bold step. So I took that bold step, and today I am very much better off for it. So the only idea that one derived from this is that the government cannot provide job for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's not possible.
Absolutely.
And most developed economies today are driven by private sector.
Absolutely.
Not actually government. So in view of that, most of us or every other person I advise should look inwards. What do I do to raise some level of capital? Even if you're going to drive a keke, drive whatever, push wheelbarrow, raise one or that, be involved in any kind of job, even work in factories, even bread factories. You see, over the years you raise money, you have a plan. If the plan is a 5-year period plan or 3 years period plan, you make a plan. After that, You look at what you've been able to garner, and then approach the association or group of persons who superintend that business you want to go into. They will give you some level of mentorship.
Okay.
You need to have that mentorship or apprenticeship for some months, 3, 4, 6 months. You get it, then you move in from the lowest level.
I like something you said in the beginning. You said when you finish school.
Yes.
And then unfortunately for a lot of youths in Nigeria, when they finish school, they're waiting for the job that me and you know that the government cannot provide. Why do you think that mindset is there? Is it the fear of starting business? Because there's a comfort of being a paid worker. Even though I know that you who's an entrepreneur actually makes more money than me who's paid, you know? But we would look at you and say, I mean, he's an entrepreneur. So why do you think the youths, is it the challenges of society? Is it the fact that they don't have people to mentor them? Or they don't, I know you said they have to go to understudy in other places.
Yes.
Why do you think our youths have those challenges to become, not just the youth, people generally, to become entrepreneurs?
The first of all is the fear of the unknown.
Okay.
But you have to fight off that fear of the unknown and get into the business. And definitely for you to, like I said, I learned it from my father. And another, again, my uncle. So if everybody within the locality where you're staying, there must be some businesses your peers are doing, or your elders, or your nephew, your uncles are doing. You just get in there and understudy it when there is no government job to move into, instead of staying back and whiling away. Even while you are learning this thing and job comes up, you go and start doing that. And while you're equally in government, you can still be venturing into that private business, because that is actually what will sustain you with the level of the economic situation of the country. This minimum wage you're talking about will definitely do little or nothing.
30,000 naira, which they are yet to implement. Can't really do much.
And even as they're implementing it, I heard yesterday they were talking about, the Minister of Budget was talking about funding this new minimum wage with increase in VAT. And when these things are VATed, the goods and services equally increase. And that money you're collecting is almost feeding from hand to mouth.
Okay.
So actually the basic thing is for you to look inwards and see what you can do for yourself as a person. And that is what is even, that leads to the development of a country, not just going there to put on ties and do this job that are paid for in a month. House rent today, what is it? So how can 30,000 a month, or when you put all the variables, maybe it will go to 60, 70, how will you pay your rent, shelter you, pay your transport and other bills? So it boils down to the fact that the government itself only needed to create a conducive business environment.
When you say conducive business environment,
something
what
like
do you mean?
The first line of it is power. First line of it is power. Try as much as possible to provide power, even when it is not completely provided. Then we're talking about tax holidays. And then giving some level of reprieve to those into these small-scale businesses. A situation where we are engaged, like in our own business, we have NAFDAC to contend with. We have some NAFDAC, of course, primarily we are contending with NAFDAC. We have some. Then we have the local government Department of Environment and local government Department of Health. All these 4 bodies are doing the same thing.
Okay, but they're all regulatory bodies. Okay.
So what the government has to do is to find a way to make this thing becomes a unipolar something, that if NAFDAC is handling bakers, other persons should leave the bakers alone so that they will break. Because before you can go through these processes, which of course is what every of them asks about, we understand what is in the country. It entails frittering away the small funds that you're even using to tend that business. Then you talk about the multiple taxation, like asking somebody to pay for business premises, and again asking you to pay for minor industry permit. So business premises and minor industry permit, they are still the same meaning. There is no difference. Or through different guises. The Ministry of Environment coming again after the health have come. So these things are what the government will try and look at and create the environment that will make people, when they are entering into this business, they will not be pushed out because of this level of levies. And we've done our research as a group, and we've discovered that 75% of this money is paid end up in private pockets.
They're not actually going to the government.
No, they're going to the government. Hence, we wrote a letter to government recently asking that this our revenue derivable expected of us should be consolidated into one unit so that we know we are paying. We just pay one off and know we have paid and face our business.
Okay. Let's talk about funding now.
Yeah.
Because most people, one of the problems they have about starting up a new business is, how do I raise funds?
Okay.
I know you said you had worked in a factory.
Yes.
And then saved some money for a couple of years.
Of course.
Some people come out of school, because I like to follow the whole idea of this program is to focus on people who aren't employed, who haven't been employed, who want to gain some kind of income, people who have either lost their jobs and there's no other income coming, people who are in a retirement age bracket, so they don't have that 9 to 5 routine, but they have more time now. So that's where I'd like us to focus now with the entrepreneurship. Funding, how do people raise funds to start business?
Normally, in the absence of the support from Bank of Industry or Bank of Agriculture or some of those conventional banks that gives the support, the only way you can start it off in our own present predicament is to get into something you can do on your own. If you can't get yourself involved in any of those jobs like, you're riding a keke and a pep, doing a hawking business that you see that we are doing to survive in this part of the decline. So if you can't do those ones, then you will now get your funding through getting involved in working in a factory. There are several factories looking for workers. If you are working there, like in my own factory, I organize what I call workers' thrift credit scheme. So what does
that mean?
That means that from the money they work, what they are paid every month, a certain percentage of it is kept for them, and is given to them every February of the succeeding year.
So what do you call it?
Workers' thrift credit scheme or thrift credit society.
Okay.
You understand? So that's process through which they now save a percentage. Here now is 15%. I ask them to save. So they save it.
So they save 15%.
15%.
Which you save for them
so
for the whole year.
For the whole year. So by February of every year,
they have bulk money.
Yes, they have bulk. They keep it. They now know that this is what they've kept, because if they are allowed to use the whole money, they end up finishing the whole money.
Okay, so it also helps to enable them save in case they want to start up their own business.
As they are saving, because most of the bakers you see today started from working in bakery factories or bread factories, many of them.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll take a short break now and we'll be back. Just stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And the program is Viewpoint. I'm Anambra. And we're talking with Honorable Jude Okafor and talking about entrepreneurship, the myth about the white-collar jobs and entrepreneurs. So you were talking before the break about the savings scheme. The savings scheme culture you try and imbibe in the people that work for you.
Yes.
Do you think that's one of the problems that we have? Not being able to save enough, or two, not being ready to go do some of those menial jobs. For example, a graduate will come out and say, I'm a graduate, I can't work in a factory because he feels big, but his pocket is small. So how do we balance this shift?
Yes,
especially in our young ones.
Definitely, that idea of saying I'm a graduate, I'm not going to get down to be a factory staff. I think that kind of thinking should be eroded.
How do we do that as a society?
As a society, what is there is that I'm using myself as a living example. We need to take away the pride and get what we really needed in this life. You've been given formal education by your parents. So when you are free out of the school, you should know the parents will not come to fend for you, especially when you know the job is not coming. The only thing that is there is that you yourself have to get something doing yourself. Working in a factory does not mean anything. Even if you get most of these keke and pep drivers, some of them are graduates.
I interviewed a couple of them last week, and I was actually shocked to find out that a couple of them are graduates.
Yes, but another thing I want to ask the government to equally help in this connection is to encourage the Bank of Industry Bank of Industry is a conventional bank set out to be able to fund these small and medium scale industries.
What are the criteria?
The criteria,
if one needs to go to the Bank of Industry, let's say maybe I want to start your bakery and catering.
Yes.
I want to start a small restaurant.
Yes.
Nothing big, but something small. Yeah. And I need maybe about 100,000.
Yes.
If I go to the Bank of Industry, what are the criteria that I would require?
The basic thing the Bank of Industry will need from you that will equally help you quicken is that you've already started. Small thing. So
you must start
something.
Okay.
They know that if you are doing something, they now come to help you to develop it, to build it.
Okay, good.
And that is where the government will have to come in, because we understand in this part of the country, maybe we're not giving to those kind of benefits. By being the National Secretary Association, I'm privileged to know that some of our brothers in the north, they have this kind of support from the BOI, facilitated by their various state governments.
Do you think it's sensitization, that we don't have enough sensitization?
Definitely.
So do you think we need more sensitization to encourage people? I know Anambra state government on its own, Ministry of Agriculture, Youth and Empowerment, have done a lot of empowerment and enhancement program for people.
Yes.
But you're also saying that there should be some kind of sensitization about people getting involved in the Bank of Industry to access more fundings for their businesses. Catering, because that's what you represent, bakery and catering. Bakery and catering and the caterers. Yes. Is it a lucrative business?
It is not about, if you look at if you check, let me be reasonable in my explanations now. Before about 2-3 years ago, it used to be very, very lucrative.
Okay.
But in the last few years, it has become a different thing because of the 15% wheat levy introduced by federal government that is used in establishing what is now known as Cassava Bread Development Fund, domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Okay.
That fund actually is to be used in funding bakeries.
The industry,
to encourage the bakery industry to produce cassava bread, bread that has cassava quotient.
Okay.
But of late, we've discovered that all our meetings with the Federal Ministry of Agri in the last few years have not yielded any result.
Okay.
So we're equally, asking our governor here with his relationship and close with the systems up there to, appeal to them to. I remember that there are people that needed that fund from Anambra State.
Okay.
But actually, that fund is domiciled with the Central Bank of Nigeria. It's known as Cassava Bread Development Fund. It's there and it's predominant. It's completely established.
And the fund is meant to come back to the industry.
Definitely, the bakers are now paying 1,000 naira additional per bag of flour. Okay. You understand? From 2013 it started.
Okay.
Is that additional 1,000 of flour from each of the flour that is produced in Nigeria is that is used in setting of that fund. Okay. So, but the fund now is not being utilized
for the purpose it was set up for. Okay.
As far as our industry is concerned, if that fund is utilized, you see several people getting into the industry, and that fund is what made flour price to go up.
Okay.
So the flour price going up now,
But other than this hiccup of, the bureaucracy of governance,
definitely,
it's a lucrative business.
Yes.
What about catering? If you drive around, you always see. I found it very impressive that I see young women, young girls, they carry the wheelbarrow, and they have their food inside.
Yes.
One, they don't need a particular spot to sell.
Yes.
They carry, and I respect that kind of determination. So they have different coolers that they have different things inside, and they're carrying their wheelbarrows and they're walking down the street and they're selling food.
Of course.
So would that be your idea of starting small?
Definitely.
And then growing, okay?
Yeah, definitely you have to start from somewhere. Like I said earlier, for you to start a bakery, if you see these big bakeries you see today, most of them started as just small cake producers.
How did you start?
I started with a mud, what you call mud oven made with mud. That red sand, local red sand.
Okay.
The elders, that is how they used it to build our normal local houses in those days.
Okay.
In the villages.
Okay.
So those elders, they come and do it.
Like clay sand?
Clay sand, yes.
Okay.
With bricks.
Okay.
They used to form it. That is the lowest level from where you can start. That's where I started from. So with those wood, you now heat the oven up. Start heating the oven, you scatter it, it impacts the temperature in the oven and, and then remove it and then start baking. If the temperature starts dropping, there's a side of it that contains what is referred to as down blow. You put some wood there and charcoal and put fire there to begin to reheat the oven. At that stage, you can be making your 1, 2, 3 bags as you're starting. It's when you, as you're growing, you put a second one, put a third one, before you can now move into what we now refer to as tube ovens. And then
what's the tube oven?
The tube oven is a mechanical construction, for baking of bread that uses tubes. There are some of those tubes that they buy from oil companies that they used to establish the oven. When you now put the wood.
So that's the next phase from the clay pot
oven to that one. Then from that one to rotary oven. That what we now call rotary oven.
Rotary oven is a standard. Is that the standard? Like an industrial oven?
Yes, that is the highest you can go in the industry.
Okay.
But starting from that local, you can see it. Some people are still starting from that local today.
And you produce the same kind of bread?
Yes, the same type of bread. That one is just like cooking food in firewood and cooking
with gas. Okay, good. So you have a shorter time, it's smoother, it's easier, but it's still the same taste of the food you're going to. I actually believe that firewood food tastes better because it has the local smoke that is added inside. So I should imagine that bread. But I like it because basically what it means is, what we're saying is, no matter what you're trying to do, nothing should hinder you. So you shouldn't wake up and say, I don't have an oven. Yeah. So if there's a clay pot to do, or you're in the catering business, as long as I have a small stove, I can cook and I can sell. Okay, before we wrap up the program, just a quick note. What would be your advice to people how do they survive being an entrepreneur? There are two things. Starting. I could save money, yes. I'm worried about personally being an entrepreneur. I don't think I'll be a good entrepreneur. I don't know why. I'm afraid.
Why?
Maybe because I've been paid, I've earned salary every month at the end of the day.
Okay.
But I want to ask, how do you people cope with that? How do you stay strong in the business? At the end of the month, I get paid.
Yeah.
That's my safety. That's my security.
Yeah.
And then like most civil servants, they have their pensions, they have their savings. But for an entrepreneur, it's like you're going out into the open. You're going out naked. Yeah. How do you stay strong remaining an entrepreneur?
Well,
despite challenges, whether it's government or financial hiccups, how do you stay grounded?
That is just the sheer spirit to conquer the unknown. That's the spirit. You just have to have the spirit. And like I earlier said in my previous interview, you need to do away with some of these social activities. People have a lot of social activities that could be distractive to your business. Going to parties, wedding ceremonies, several ceremonies. In fact, every other day there is a ceremony in this country. So you need to create a barrier so that you can look at your business.
And focus on it.
You have to grow it because it's highly domesticated. You have to be there, tend it until you get to a stage before you can start moving out to live it.
What are the most difficult periods of business? The first how many years? First few months, first few years?
I think the first 2 years is very, very, first 6 months and then first 2 years is very, very important, vital to the survival of the business. And the major thing, like I said in quote, is government needed to create the enabling environment. You understand? Needed to create the enabling environment for people to get into it without several attacks from every angle. Creating that task is very, very important. When the person is now standing on his feet, then you can begin to come gradually to bring in those payments that are expected of the people. Actually, everybody needs to pay. You pay tax individually, but then the one that you tax from the company is the one that you have to take it easy with those companies.
So you give the companies opportunity.
Yeah, opportunities to grow. Once they are stable, they will be very willing and happy to contribute to the development of the society.
I must thank you so much for being a part of this program, because the whole idea is to, one, inspire people.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought you, because one, you're educated, but you chose not to wait for government to get into business. And years later, you have no regrets about the choice you made.
Yes.
So that's the whole idea, bringing you and telling people out there listening to us, watching us, to say, no matter how small, just start.
Wow.
And then once you start, and then like you said, if you survive the first 6 months, the next 2 years, after that it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a part of the
program. Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Well, with that, we'll end the program, and then my last note will be, just get up and do it. You don't have to wait for a fortune before you start a business. We've had people who have started businesses with 1,000 naira, and they now have businesses worth millions of naira. Our guest on the program started with 50,000 naira, and now he's He has an empire by being a baker, and he's a graduate. So there's no excuse whatsoever not to get up and start doing something. Thanks for being with us, and then join us next week. I'm Ifunaya Amafili.